Hi.
Hello, Kelsey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So just real quick before we get started, I just want to let you know that we do record our consultations. It's on the form and everything. We also record
Yes.
our training sessions. So just a heads up on that. Um, but we have Reggie, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead and fill me in on Reggie. Just let me tell me any important information that you think that I should be that I should know.
Sure. So he's a really good dog. We started training with like a private in-home trainer when he was, like 10 or 12 weeks old. We started real young because I knew he was going to be a big boy. So he's got the basics down, but he's a Bernedoodle, so he's got that burner stubborn streak as well. So he knows a lot of things, but it's not like clean. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't always come when recalled. So I like the idea of having the e-collar as a backup. And then, like place, he's really good at place when it's just me and him. I live alone. But when we have guests over or, when we're in like a distracted environment, then he'll forget that he can't get up. So we have to just kind of keep repositioning. And then lately we have had some minor leash reactivity as well. Um, Honestly, really minor, just like barking and maybe a lunge, but he doesn't try to get too close to dogs. It's just more aggravating than anything because he didn't used to do it. So I think that's really, oh, and then he's not very good at settling when he's in like distracted environments. So I definitely want to work on like the art of doing nothing that I know you guys have talked about. And just making sure I'm doing everything I can to give him the right environments to do nothing in.
Got it. Okay. And then how old is he?
He will be a year and a half next month.
Okay. And then he weighs, did you put I forget.
92-ish.
Okay, so he's a year and a half.
Yep.
90 pounds. Okay. Anything else?
No, he still does like some normal puppy stuff of just like getting into things if I leave them out, which I think just changes over time, I hope. Right now I just keep doors closed and just like control the environment. That way he doesn't have access to anything. And then we don't crate anymore. I have like a gate in the hallway. So when I leave, he gets just the hallway gated off. And he does better with that than he did in a crate.
Good. Okay. So that eliminating like the space he has and that fixed like the issue of him getting to things and tearing whatever the dog stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I will say he prefers dogs over people typically. So he does take a minute to warm up. Some people he loves right away, and then others just have to win him over.
What does that look like?
Typically winning him over is just kind of like letting him come to you on his own terms. If you're like coming up to him and he doesn't want it, then he'll huff. But then the more we can just kind of like be neutral, then he'll start to get curious and approach that person.
Okay. Is this like in the home or outside or everywhere?
Everywhere.
Okay. What about in the home? Is he the same way? Like, is he like better or worse, or is he more?
Honestly, we don't have too many people come in and out of the home, so usually the people that are here, he's obsessed with.
Okay.
But I'm dating, so there has been like one guy come over that he was like absolutely not, and it turned out we shouldn't have had him over anyway. So he's a good judge of character.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but it's the initial that first meeting, but then once he has acclimated or like got comfortable that first time, after that he's good. He doesn't go back to barking anymore or anything like that.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, good. That's good. Anything else?
I don't think so. We started daycare a while ago, so sometimes he will demand bark now, and I've noticed on the cameras like he definitely picked that up from daycare. But really if I ignore it here, he gets over it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Yeah, so it sounds like you're, just like the basic obedience stuff, just more like advancing his obedience to like the real world, because you have the foundations and everything. It's just once it's I guess put to the test or proved, it's a little difficult for him.
Yep.
What else? And then what do you currently walk? What's his name again? I just said his name.
Reggie.
Reggie. What do you currently walk Reggie on? Like what training tool? Like a harness?
We have a gentle leader.
Gentle leader. How's he with the gentle leader?
He's really good unless he knows we're going someplace exciting, and then he will pull through it. But I will say, honestly, probably 80% of the time, he's a really good walker. And then it's just when he like gets excited or wants to go smell something, he'll pull.
Got it. And is he like going like this, right? Like his head's just okay, yeah. Okay. And then for your control of Reggie, like what does everyday life look like for you and Reggie? So like for example, do you just take him on walks, and then maybe you need recall because you let him go to the dog park or like an open field to run around, and then you go home? Or do you maybe want to be able to take him to like an outdoor patio, and like have him lay down and not move for like an hour or 2 hours with the structured walk and like the recall? Or are you like the hiker? Do you like go hiking off like every other weekend with him, and you need him like off leash trained or anything like that? Okay, no.
No, not that often. It's more definitely just the recall. And like right now I only go to dog parks because I don't trust him when it's not fenced in. Ideally, I would like to be able to we go play fetch by ourselves in an open field and not be in a dog park environment.
Yeah.
But I need to trust his recall to be able to do that. So right now we do 4 structured walks a day. And then he is pretty good on patios, obviously when the weather's warm. But I bring a treat to keep him occupied. And then when that treat's gone, sometimes he's like, well, now what? So I want him to be able to do place longer. He's in place right now and he's asleep. But so I work from home now. After the beginning of the year, I'll go into the office 3 days a week, and he's really good. We do our walk in the morning, and honestly, he's usually out from 9 to 4:30, and then we do another walk.
Okay, good. And you said he's fine when you leave the home, right? He's cool.
Yeah, he used to not be cool. He used to have a lot of separation anxiety. The crate added to that. So once we got rid of the crate, he was able to settle more. And then once I added the gate in the hallway, then I was able to trust him for longer. So he doesn't, we did a lot of work of just leaving all the time for different periods of time. And he does so much better now. I've only gotten up to 4 hours, but that's because I work from home. So a lot of times I don't really need to leave for more than 4 hours.
Yeah. How long will you be gone when things go back to normal?
It will be an 8-hour work day. So right now I do plan on just taking him to daycare for those situations. But also I'm definitely open to working up to 8 hours of him being home and chilling.
Yeah. I mean, I would try, because what you can do is if your office is in if you have an office and the area where he's in the gated is somewhere somewhere far from you, you can do that for 8 hours while you're home.
Okay.
Because it's the same thing. Because it's more difficult for a dog to be separated from you when you're home, because he's okay, you're here, why am I over here in the place where you're supposed to be gone? So it's more difficult. Okay. So when you practice that scenario where you're home and he's there, it's going to be more difficult. And then the only thing that will change when work comes is that you're just leaving, and that's it.
That's a good point.
So you can start that whenever you like, and you don't need to be away. You can still be in your home and everything, just in case one day maybe it's not working, you need to be gone for more than 8 hours or something like that. So it's just
Right.
it should be something that's like familiar to him at the same time.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
What else? Okay, yeah, I'm asking these questions of like, what life looks like, just so we get an idea of like what program would be best for you.
Mhm.
We only give you what you're wanting and needing, not like these other fancy things that you're just like, well, I would never use this command, but like, okay, we're gonna teach you anyway. So that's good. And then I'm assuming you did research on us and everything. You mentioned econ and everything.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think what, again, what he needs is a more of, because a lot of times when owners, for their commands, sometimes the dog like does it as like a trick. Like they'll do it and then they just get up and they get the treat.
Yep.
What e-collar would do is make it very important to him that he's like, okay, I gotta lay down, I cannot move. So it's more of an actual command.
Yes.
So e-collar is the old school term is shock collar.
Mhm.
It's electric, yes, but it's not electricity. So it's not flowing like through the dog's body when we're shocking dogs or whatever. It's just what's called a stim, or like a TENS unit on a collar. So if you ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor,
Mhm.
TENS unit or stim to like contract like torn muscle. It's funny because the way they work with the clients is very similar to how we train our dogs. Is they start low and they tell the client, let me know when it's too uncomfortable. They keep going up, up, up. The client says, that's enough. I think they lower it 2 levels down, and then they let the machine do its work. So it's very similar to how we do our training as well. Like I said, it's just a muscle contractor.
Mhm.
It's a little collar, little box, two little prongs, 2 little contact points. That's whatever these 2 contact points are affecting is what it's contracting.
Yep.
Um,
He is, my parents have an invisible fence and he has a collar for that with the 2 prongs. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should do e-collar, because he learned that invisible fence in no time.
yes, yeah. Um, the reason why they catch on to it so quick is because it's physicality.
Right.
So dogs are physical animals. So from 4 weeks to 3, around there, they're getting bitten, messed around with,
Yep.
physicality from their mothers and the other puppies. So there's a really good video, you might have seen it. It's pretty popular, it's a cream retriever, and she's like walking into a playpen with her litter, and they all get excited, they're jumping on her, and then you hear her like growl and snarl, and then she shows her teeth, and then boom, 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 she snatches at 3 puppies, but then the rest also like we're like, whoa, and then you see them all like turn around, walk away, and then they lay down, and it's just
Yep.
quiet immediately. So think of the e-collar as like a bite, like a quick bite on the dog.
Yep.
So it's the same. It essentially feels the same as the electric fence. Now the electric fence is more of like what is it? Like a correction. So
Mhm.
like our brand of Dogtra has 127 levels. So 0,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 127. What was like the maximum level on the electric fence?
It's really low because so it's set for the fence, not the collar. And my parents have like a 20-pound dog. So it's a very low setting and he still reacts to that. But I'm not sure what setting it is.
Do you know the maximum on that collar?
I don't. I know that on like the app that they use, it's just levels 1 through 5, but I know it's not equivalent to like level 1.
Got it. So think of 5 at
Mhm.
the level equal to our 127,
Right.
right? We have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog's personality, the breed, or the scenario we're in. Now the fence is something you would want a high correction because you don't
Right.
want him to cross his barrier. For us, there's different reasons for different levels. So like the normal level would be called the working level of the training
Okay.
level. So it wouldn't be 127 or a 5 for teaching
Right.
things, right? We would start low and work at his what is not really Reggie's number. Like if this is too
Right.
high, it's too low. He can only tell us. I can't tell. We can never tell from the breed or the personality. It's
Right.
just once we start, we'll just find out at that first day. So yeah, Dogtra, the brand's been used by Jesse for more than half his career. He's tried other brands as well, and this one has been the one that gave him the best results and then gave us the best of the dogs.
Okay.
They're waterproof. You get a mile-long range, rechargeable. You don't need batteries, and it's very simple to use. And they last pretty long. I had my system for a while. Jesse's had his systems for a long time as well. What else? Any questions about the actual e-collar itself?
No, I think it'll be good to just kind of like refine the behavior, right? Because like you said, he's great when we're like in school mode. And then when it is like real life, he's like, do you have a treat? Like, so I want that able to refine the skills.
Yeah, and positive reinforcement is great. We love positive reinforcement. We do it with our puppies.
Yeah.
It's good for layering the foundation. But what can happen is that once you start to move outside or like these higher distraction environments, what happens usually is the dog is looking at a squirrel and they're like, come here, right? And you have the treat and everything. And the dog is literally thinking like, it's the turkey I've been getting all day, but the squirrel, I have not found the squirrel yet. I want the squirrel. So that's where the owners get confused. It's like it's again, it's good for things you want to see, bad for things you want to stop. So let's say for dogs who have reactivity, if he's lunging and jumping, I mean, here and there, if like the owner, like, I mean, I've seen some progress with positive reinforcement for reactivity, but nothing. It's just that for the trainer, maybe, but for like a actual, like just a regular dog owner, some of these things aren't realistic because one, we have work, we have school, we have kids, we have families, we have a whole other life. But for the dog trainer, I mean, they're a dog trainer, they have all the time. So it gets a little bit more difficult, and it can get discouraging at times for some owners for positive reinforcement. But yeah, like you said, you have the foundation and everything, just want to advance. What else? So what we would do is, like, the first exercise we do with the e-collar is called heel. It's our walking command. So our version of heel is walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if you take 5 steps with Reggie takes 5 steps. If you take 10, he takes 10. When you come to a stop, he's to automatically sit with his shoulder parallel to your leg. And this is all done with a loose leash in any environment. And this is taught class 1. We're teaching him how to walk. And then another thing we're teaching at the same time is how e-collar works. So he's learning pressure on, pressure off, and that he is the one he's the one in control of the e-collar. Reggie will never know that you're the one pressing the button because there's nothing connected to you.
Right.
It's like let's say prong collar or anything else, or maybe you get a little yank, right? Reggie sees you're doing that because the leash is connected to that tool. So e-collar is very non-confrontational. He won't be afraid of you. He won't be like, Mom, why are you shocking me? Right? He doesn't know where it's coming from. He thinks, dogs think it's like the universe or like Big Brother, whatever you want to call it. Telling them what to do. So, and we've never seen dogs lose their spunk. Like if they're goofy and everything, we never stop being goofy. I've never seen that. Jesse's never seen that. So we would teach that command. Now, the idea behind heel is that this command is so important, right? Because it sounds super strict. That it's so strict and so important that nothing else should matter. Because this is more important. And the reason why this is more important is because of the e-collar. So it's like looking at a ghost. Like he's looking at this squirrel, dog, whatever it is, and he's like, I want to go say hi. I want to do this, or maybe like, why are they looking at me like that? Like maybe there's some conversation here he's thinking, but then this is happening. This is actually real. This is touching him. Like think of that as a ghost. Like, are you going to believe the ghost or something that's actually touching you and real? So that's where he's going to be like, okay, this is more important than that. So I need to focus here. What else? So with the heel, you're addressing a lot of things, like the minor reactivity, and then the pulling as well. If he knows he's going somewhere, then this will definitely help with that situation as well. Once we teach this first exercise, then we can go ahead and dive into other commands. Because again, he just needs to know what the e-collar is first.
Right.
Because there are other trainers that, or like a common thought is that dog does something bad, you blast a dog, right? It's incorrect. The dog needs to know what this means first
Right.
before you start addressing like serious behaviors.
Yep.
Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. What was I going to say? One thing is a lot of owners ask is that when does the e-collar come off, or is there a point where I can take the e-collar off, or is it on all the time every day in my house overnight? How does that work? So it's on when you need it. So if you're going to go for a walk with Reggie, it will be on. Even after the program, it should still be on, just because we can't predict what's going to happen on these walks. So let's say you're going for a walk and then everything, this is after training too, everything's great, loose leash, maybe one day, maybe the gently wasn't on right, or maybe you have a loose grip and then a car backfires, or a car crash happened. He's like spooked. He's like, whoa, I'm out of here. And he books it. We've heard a lot of stories of owners getting pulled to the ground, all this kind of stuff. And then dog is just running. That's called flight mode. So when dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed. So Reggie come probably won't work because he's running first way. So then you have the e-collar to override the brain and force him to do the 180 and come back to you in that scenario. Jesse had a client one time, and the client's dog was off leash. And if your dog's off leash, definitely have the e-collar on, like you said. You brought it up too. And they're playing fetch. And then their dog, the client's dog, is a resource guarder. So they were playing in their own little area, but then a dog came booking, trying to get that ball they were chasing. So then it was like this.
Yeah.
She was able to stop her dog in mid chase for the ball and then make them come back for safety reasons. Because if this happened, this would have been a fight. So it was like this, and then the dog did his thing, and then but she got control over her dog. So it's just great to just to know, like, if anything happens, I have control.
Yep.
Yeah. Now let's say you're doing, working from home, or you're just hanging out, and then he's just kind of hanging out as well, and you're not really expecting any guests. It's just you and him for the night. Then you don't need the e-collar on.
Right.
Let's say you're gonna have guests come over, and let's say it's someone he's familiar with. He gets maybe he gets jumpy, and he's gonna get in their face and everything. But maybe you're not wanting that. You would collar him up 30 minutes prior, address whatever that is needing to be addressed, and then after that, if he's settled throughout the rest of the night with your guests, you can take it off, or if you want to keep it on just in case, you can keep it on.
Okay.
So yeah, it's on when you need it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, because that was actually one of my questions, is like when I have guests over and I want him to like stay on place, or like you said, just not jump on them and like get overly excited. I did wonder, because most of the time you see the e-collar used like outside for walking and off leash. So I did wonder like how it applied inside.
Yeah, same thing. If you're wanting to like practice place work while some construction guys fixing, right, then you would collar him up 30 minutes prior, do get him on place, and then just wait for the guests to arrive, and then you have the remote in case he gets up, or maybe he does something inappropriate, like he's whining or barking while he's on place. You can still address those things with the remote.
Okay, great. Because right now, like if he does stay on place with a guest over, he's like staring at me the whole time and like whining or barking, and that's like positive reinforcement. Okay, I'm just going to drop a treat when you aren't doing that, but it doesn't address the actual issue.
Correct. Yes. You're right. Yeah. So that would help you in that situation. What else? Any other questions?
So questions just like on what you think would be best for him, whether it's like a board and train, a daycare and train. I know that I need the training too, but I do like the idea of like a board and train or daycare and train, just because it is a little quicker than like me going through a 9-week process, right?
Yes, correct. So since you're just dealing with basic obedience, it doesn't really matter which program you choose. When it comes down to it, it's just like availability. So if like owners for the holidays, they're going out of town, you know, or like whenever they go out of town, like, hey, I'm gonna be out of town for 3 weeks. I want to take advantage of this time, do a board and train, and then come back, and then we'll follow up with them. So board and train or daycare and train, it's up to you.
Okay.
Now, you'll still get like the one-on-one time. So I'll talk about the board and train. So board and train is obviously you leave Reggie with us overnight for 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, or a 4 week.
Okay.
You are more, it depends how much control you're wanting. So think of the 2 week program equal to you walk your dog around the block, you need recon, then you go home. That's it, right?
I want more than that.
But, no, but we're also like for how do I say? It's for like or not the 2 week, the 1 week.
Okay.
And the 2 week is, it'll make more sense. So the 2 week, so for all 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, and 4 week programs, any program you choose, he will learn, he'll stay, sit down, come place.
Okay.
It just depends on how much practice you want him to get. So for the first week, we're teaching all the commands, but it's just 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're getting the foundation in, and then the rest is you have to practice it now.
Yep.
Now the 2 week, you give us more time to teach it for that first week. That's still the teaching week. So like the foundation week.
Mm-hmm.
The second week is we're advancing him to a long leash in the facility where we're giving him 30 feet now to make mistakes.
Okay.
It also gives us more time to take him to like Home Depot, PetSmart, because right here, when we do our training walks, there's a dog park, and then we'll circle around, go to Home Depot, and then sometimes if we have enough time, we'll stop at PetSmart on the way back. If not, it's Home Depot and the dog park is great as well.
Yeah.
The 3 week program is the same 2 weeks, but then the third week is we're advancing his obedience in the playpen while there's dogs playing.
Okay.
So it's just more proofing, more advancement, and you get, for each of these weeks, you get a video of that. Okay. So everything is recorded. You're seeing the moment we put the e-collar on Reggie. You're seeing his first reaction to it, and you're seeing us teach each command, all 6 commands for the first time. You're also seeing how, like, you know, how we tell you to practice and what we're seeing and what we're explaining certain things. So you get, depending on which program, for every week you choose, you get a video for that.
Okay.
The videos will most likely be either me or Andy. I'm trying to think, there was something else. The 4-week program is those same 3 weeks, but then the 4th week, we take your dog to like, there's Horner Park or Oz Park, and we teach you how to apply it in like the busiest areas there can be. Because you know, we can do 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, and they're great on the video, but then you do the 4th week video, and then we're in a new environment and busy, and you might see maybe Reggie gets distracted, or maybe like an off-leash dog comes up to us, like how to handle that situation. And it's happened to us on video, and it's pretty cool to watch how we have to handle that. And or maybe even a dog is reactive to us, like what to do when your dog reacts back, and how to keep moving forward and everything. So those are how like the programs work for you. From what you're looking for, I'd say either the 2 week program, but if you're wanting more control, 3 week or 4 week. The 1 week is, again, I don't recommend it, but if you're just looking for that basic obedience, like let's just teach it, you know, let's teach it and then I'll practice it. Mm-hmm. That's great. But I like the 2 week because let's say Reggie, let's say we start training and Reggie gets stressed. Like maybe his stress response is, maybe he gets flighty. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get away. Having him for 1 week sometimes won't be enough to get over that hump, because what's needed there is just more exposure and time.
Yep.
So then the 2 week would give us more time to kind of like really work with him and get him over that hump of his stress response to the e-collar. Mm-hmm. Now, e-collar doesn't make a dog anxious or flighty or fearful. The dog was already that. The e-collar is just stressing them out. So then that's just their stress response there.
Yeah.
Usually I had one Bernedoodle that was just like we were training them, and then like the whole time his tail's wagging, like he didn't care, like he's just like, okay, like we're doing heel, like this is cool. So I don't know what Reggie's response would be. He could, you can see him get stressed, but at the same time, you're seeing us work him through that.
Yeah.
What else? So those are how the programs work. Now, what also comes with the programs is follow-up lessons.
Yeah.
So for the 2-week program, you get 4 hours. And I forget for the 3-week and 4-week, I forget how many hours of follow-up you get. But for the 2-week, you get 4 hours of one-on-one time. And then we go by time, we don't go by sessions. So if
Okay.
let's say you want to do like a 2-hour session, we can do a 2-hour session.
Cool.
And you can schedule these follow-up lessons whenever you like. So let's say that first week happens, and then you're like, all right, let's do a follow-up. I want to see, what he's learning. I want to be a part of it at the end of the first week. We can do a follow-up lesson there. Then the second week, we can do another follow-up, and then you've already had 2 follow-ups at that point. So then you have enough knowledge, and then you get your videos to continue right away. Or owners, everyone's different. So then sometimes owners will want to do the follow-up at the end when everything's done, or they watch the videos, they practice first. Then they're like, okay, let's have the follow-up just so you can see if I'm practicing correctly.
Right.
Or maybe like, hey, Enrique, like he's still barking at dogs. Like what's wrong here? And then we come in and then we help them and we fix it. So you can use your follow-up lessons however you like. What else? Any questions about the board train? Oh, and he also gets to still play with the daycare dogs. We have treadmills here, so he gets to learn how to walk on a treadmill as well.
Okay.
What else? He will be kenneled overnight. So if there's any kennel issues, it won't be a problem for us because we have someone here overnight.
Okay.
And we have cameras and everything and sound. So if we hear anything, that's when we address certain things like barking, or like if he's like, yo, why am I kenneled here?
Yeah.
So we can address that.
Are the kennels, like some places have like suite type situations, and then others use just like straight crates. So what's your kennel like?
Ours is straight crates. Now, let's say he's consistently, let's say he like is consistently like trying to break out, or he's maybe going to harm himself. What we do if that happens is we use our play pens, and we will put dogs in there to just kind of in like a little bed, and they have more space to roam around. So if that's the case, we'll do that. And like we have certain dogs. I mean, we bought we were given a like an Alcatraz looking like kennel, and it was for it was a bigger dog, and it was like I think a Rottie mix. We put the dog in there, and then he was still getting anxious, and then we come in the next morning, he was fine, but he broke like a bar, like a metal bar. So we were like, well, we're not going to use this kennel anymore if it's not working. So he goes in the playpen as well, just because he just has that room. So if that happens, we'll definitely contact you, let you know, hey, this happened last night. We don't want him to hurt himself. But we're going to put him in our playpen area.
That makes me feel better, because I think I tried crate training, and he slept in a crate up until the 1-year mark. But he didn't sleep well. He didn't sleep in. And then as soon as we let him out of that, it was a totally different dog and just slept so much better. So I don't know if it's like having something above his head that he doesn't like, because he does so well in the gated area. So I like that you at least have the kennel, like the playpen, as an option if he doesn't do well.
Yes. 1 sec. I want to see where my battery's at. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if it was like, if you were like telling me like I want him to be crate trained while he's there, then it's like, all right, well, we're gonna have to like drill it out, and it might happen because the way our daycare runs is there's an hour activity, an hour rest. So they're cool. off and on, off and on. Now for Reggie though, he's gonna get more activity because we're training him.
Yeah.
So if he's not doing anything, not training or playing, he can either be doing duration work, what he's doing now in our facility area, or he might be kenneled. So either way, he's getting that kennel exposure. So if he's acting up or anything, we'll be able to correct certain behaviors. Now, like you said, if it's an overnight thing and sometimes we can't catch it, then we'll put him in the playpen there. What else? And then you say he's social and everything with other dogs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. What else? Any other questions?
One of my questions, yeah, just was like, what does a day look like during either the board or the daycare? So it sounds like they'll get an hour of activity, an hour of downtime, and then I'm assuming like when some dogs are having downtime, he would be training.
Correct, yes. So in the morning, first thing is, they open up potty, breakfast, and then they start their training sessions. So there's 1, 2, 3, about like 6 people for the day,
Okay.
and everyone does their training session.
Okay.
So he's getting repetition, because that's what needs to happen, right? Just the repetitions need to happen.
Yep.
So for his videos, it's either going to be me or Andy because we're the most experienced.
Okay.
And Andy is learning his videos, how to do them. So I'm still there present teaching him.
Okay.
Because teaching a dog e-collar versus practicing or reinforcing is different.
Sure.
So we're teaching them. Once we taught them and layering the foundation, then everyone can start practicing.
Okay.
So he's getting those reps in the morning. Once he's done reps at 10 a.m., that's when daycare drop-offs end, and then we can start play groups. So he'll start playing. If he hasn't had a session with another handler yet, they'll do that session while everything's getting set up. And then he'll be doing duration work. But yeah, he's definitely gonna get a lot of time out. I think now that I think about it, I don't think the boarding trains get that much kennel time compared to like the other daycare dogs, because the daycare dogs can only do play or treadmill and then rest.
Right.
And the reason why rest is so important is because if the dog plays all day and they go home like that, they're still wired.
Yeah.
So they're on all day and they're gonna go home on as well. Yeah. It's like owners who also say like, I take my dogs on like 6 walks and like these crazy amount of like exercise times.
But
then
overstimulation.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's overstimulation. The dog is still zooming around the house because there hasn't been any mental exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the heel for you as like a mental exercise, because he needs to be mentally focused as well as physically focused. So it's more draining and more tiring for them.
Okay.
What else? Does that any question about that?
No, and the daycare he goes to now, I chose because they do 11 to 2 nap time, which is like the longest I've heard of in the daycares that we looked at so far. So I like that he's not on all day. He doesn't come home completely wiped or overwired. So I like the on and off there.
Good, yes. Yeah, and then he's probably going to come home knocked out if you do the boring, just because, we hear it all the time. Like the owners say, yeah, he came home knocked out from that boring.
Especially all that mental stimulation, yeah.
Yes. Daycare and train is very similar, except you're just picking him up at the end of the day. We have the 5-day bundle, 10-day bundle, 15, 20. Think of the 10-day bundle equal to the 2-week, 15 to 9, and then 20 to 4.
Okay.
They're bundles, so they're not they're not reservations. So if like I want to come in on Mondays and Wednesdays, and like we have you set on the calendar, and you don't come in on Wednesday, you still have that day. It's a bundle.
Okay.
You still get your videos. I think you get like 1 hour less follow-up time, I believe.
Okay.
What else? That's the only difference, because like for every 5 days you get a video. So if you do the 10-day, you still get 2 videos. 15 you get 3, and then 20 you get 4.
So if he does the board and train, what do weekends look like?
It's the same thing. We're still training.
Awesome. Okay.
If anything, gives us more time to like take him on more trips.
Yeah.
Also, it depends on the weather. I mean, we're still fine with going outside. It's just once it gets icy and they start putting salt on the roads, that's when it's like, okay, we have to kind of think about this. What else? Worst comes to worst, we'll drive him to Home Depot or to a park. That's what we've done as well. Any questions about the daycare and train or the board and train?
For the daycare and train, what's the timing look like? Like when would drop off and pick up be?
Oh yeah, drop drop-off starts at 7 a.m. to 10. Pickup starts at 3 p.m. to 7 on the weekdays. On the weekends, we open up at 8. Drop-off time is still 10. We close at 6 though. What else? Anything else?
Do you know like how far out you're booking for either board and train or daycare and train?
For the daycare and train, you can start that now. It's a little different because the dogs come in, go out, so it's not like board and train where we'll have like, we can't really have 10 dogs as board and trains because then it gets overwhelming.
Right.
But board and train, there's definitely availability. We're not filled up right now. So I would, because what needs to happen after this consultation is if you're gonna do the board and train and or daycare and train, my assistant Tina and Elizabeth will reach out to you and send you links. So the e-car I recommend, the programs we talked about with the prices, and then a link that is for you to turn in like your shot records and an agreement you need to sign. So the shot records is like, need the fecal exam to say negative, or whatever, all those good stuff. So once that is all set up, then we can go ahead and begin billing and booking. So like it's just at your pace whenever you're ready. So if like say you get all this done tomorrow, you can technically start like Monday or like this weekend if you wanted to. We sell the e-collars here. So
I was gonna ask if I needed to like buy in advance or what that looked like too.
She'll provide you a link to Amazon though to order it yourself if you like. So if that's an option for you as well. But we sell them here. So if you bring them for board and train, we can just pull off the shelf and that's all. If you purchase it through us, it's the same price and all. 30 days, the first 30 days, you get, if anything happens when you have it, you would give it back to us. We deal with dog trail, the company, and we borrow you $1 in the meantime. Once the 30 days have passed, you would have to contact dog trail yourself. What else? Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I think it sounds really good. I will say we tried a board and train last summer just because I was going out of town for like a week and a half, and we didn't have a good experience, but I also just didn't do enough research ahead of time, and it wasn't necessarily the right environment for him. So I like the idea of a board and train, but I do get nervous just leaving him after that situation. So is there, what is your preference? Like, do you get more out of a dog from a board and train versus a daycare and train, or do you really see similar results?
That's a good question. Before I answer that, I'm gonna go get my charger for this laptop so I don't die. One second. Okay, sweet. In person is great, and we always kind of prefer owners to not prefer. It's my favorite, just because it's all like we don't touch the dog for in person, so it's we're just coaching you how to do it. So you're learning more because you're there from like zero, beginning. You're also learning how to like troubleshoot things, like in certain moments, like what to do here, and we're there to help you and coach you through it. So in person is great for those reasons. Now for some cons though, like you said, it's just going to take you longer, and then sometimes I don't have like the time to like meet us consistently.
Right.
But like I said, it's just obedience. So you know, if it was like for like behavior cases, like intense reactivity, then it's like, well, at the end of the day, you're going to be handling this dog, so you need to know what to do in these different situations. Like what do I do here?
Yep.
So that's where we were like, we would push it, but you know, you're getting your videos, you get that one-on-one time as well with the board and train and the daycare and train. So when it comes down to it, from what I've noticed, I've seen owners love the daycare and train program, and they did great for the follow-ups. They were practicing really well, and they kept in contact and everything. They did really good. So at the end of the day, what it comes down to, I think it's just like, if you're practicing correctly, and then the homework is practiced correctly, and then you know, watching the videos and just following instructions, really, when it comes down to it. Because you know, there's a common thought of, let me send my dog to the board and train program, and then because my dog is whatever disobedient, and they come out and they're thinking they're going to get like a brand new car or something, right? So that's where this like, no, like it's just it's an animal. That's not how it works. So let's say we start training, and then you come, because you can visit. Let's say you did the board and train, you can come visit Reggie whenever you want.
Okay.
So let's say you want to say hi to him.
Yeah.
His whatever in the middle of his program, and then like he starts jumping on you.
Yeah.
Right? Well, he would jump on you just because we haven't done any work with you.
Right.
And it's a different scenario because you're here now. So if that happens, or like if you try to say heel, he's probably not going to heel, because he's like, you don't know heel. I don't heel for the day. So what those follow-up lessons are for is also to transfer the commands to you. So another common thought for the board and train is, from what we've heard from other clients when they do other board and train programs with other facilities, is that, yeah, you know, we did the training, the dog was great, but when the trainer left, the dog disobeyed, he was a mess. So that's like a common worry. For e-card, that doesn't happen. So at first, yes, because we need to transfer everything.
Transfer it, right.
But let's say in the videos you're seeing me train Reggie, and like our number is 25 or something, right? When I press the button on 25 and you press a button on 25, it's still 25.
Same, yeah.
There's no like, you know, she's stronger than him or he's stricter than her or any of this stuff, right? It's 25 is 25 for everyone.
Yep. Andy said since it's not connected, he doesn't know if you're pushing it or I'm pushing it. He just knows he's getting it.
Correct. And then he knows that there has to be a response to it to turn off the pressure.
Yep.
So that's like another wonderful thing about e-car, is that there's no, when the trainer's not here or anything like that, it's the same. Like when we do our in-person sessions or programs, like partner number one will go first, and then you'll see they're doing all the hard work, and then they hand the dog to partner number two, and they're getting it easy because they didn't have to do all that the work that the partner number one had to do.
Yeah.
So they see it right away, like, oh wow, I didn't have to do anything. And like, yeah, that's a wonderful thing about e-collar. So what I prefer, I like in person, just because I think the one-on-one experience is great. I like the board and train and the daycare train because you get videos. You also still get that one-on-one in person, and then we kind of, because we push for more here. So for our duration, sometimes for our board and trains, we'll push more duration time so that it's nothing brand new to the dog in the home. Now here and there, the dog will still like test boundaries, because what's going to happen is he's going to get home and he's like, oh wow, my palace, I'm here back at my castle now.
Right.
So he might, you know, again, all that needs to happen is the lessons, and then like a reminder of like, hey, I know this stuff too, and it's and this feeling happens here as well. So he's like, oh, okay, I know now.
Because your like the follow-up sessions are at the facility, right? It's not in home.
They can be in home or the facility. Sometimes we've done them. We can do them at Oz Park or like a big near the area to like kind of put you in an environment where, like, you know, how do I say it? that's
more distracting.
correct. Yes. But yes, we can do it at the facility as well, or wherever is whatever is your preference.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So regardless if it's the board and train or daycare and train, if I did want to come after week 1 to start that transfer to like do my first 1 hour session, I could do that either way.
Yes. So
Okay.
I think for the daycare and train, it's different. I think after the first 3 days, you get your first video, and then you get 1 hour available follow-up.
Okay.
I think that's after the 3 days. For the board and train, I think it's just after week 1, you can do the follow-up lesson there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No. I will say, Zoe the Bernadoodle recommended you guys on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She did really great on econ. She was definitely I don't know, I forget how she was before. She was more of like, she wasn't timid, but she was just more like very goofy and very barky type girl. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. What else?
Do you guys, so Reggie has a lot of food allergies. Do you guys do treats in addition to the collars, or do you strictly do the collar?
We can do treats.
Okay.
It's not needed.
Yeah.
Because what can happen is it's not like, it's like, it depends on the dog. If they're like, if we're doing the training and they're like, I don't like this, I'm pretty stressed, sometimes they won't take the treat or they won't take the food.
Right.
So because I saw he has a lot of allergies. So we usually do like cheese, or like if you wanted to provide, like if you're like, I only want him to have these treats, we can do them. But we like using cheese, turkey, ham, like high value foods. Yeah. We don't really like using actual dog treats because they've had them before or something. So like that, like a cheese is like, whoa, cheese is great. You know, it's very special for them. So but yes, we'll use treats if needed. I prefer to use treats. Again, it just depends on the dog. If the dog's taking them, then I'm going to be using them all the time for our training sessions.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I'm excited. I think this is, I mean, it's what I'm looking for, because the frustrating thing with Reggie lately has just been like, you know better, but I can't just continue ignoring the bad and reinforcing the good. So I think it's a great time to introduce the e-collar and for me to learn how to use it. That way we can just address the bad behavior too, which there isn't much of, but it's annoying when you have such a good dog and you're like, no, you know better.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah, and he's a year and a half, so he's ready for it. Yep. Positive reinforcement happens until 6 months. 6 months is when we can start e-collar training, because the brain has developed enough to like understand this sort of pressure. Yeah. And it's also like around the time where the owner has like, fine, we'll do it. Yeah. You know, we've done deaf dogs, blind dogs, tripods, a 13-year-old dog we did, and we've done young as 4 to 3 months. Okay. So, you know, e-collar is a very, what's the word? We use it a lot on different types of dogs and different breeds as well. Cool. I think I covered everything.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions, because really it sounds like your standard board and trainer, daycare and train, the stuff you cover is exactly what I'm looking for, like the off leash, the recall, the place, the come, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and then everything, you'll see how we're teaching it, but everything we're doing is like from that first lesson, we're already teaching off leash technically. Right. You'll notice we don't use a leash that much. We're using a lot of e-collar. Okay. So we're already building the foundation for off leash activities and the off leash life. From there, it's just like, how far do you want to advance it? How far do you want to like make him off leash trained? Yep. But other than that, if there's nothing else, you have my email. So if any questions pop up, feel free to email me and contact me. I'll answer them.
Okay.
But like I said, keep an eye out for Elizabeth's follow-up email.
Okay.
And she'll be the one that you're kind of working with to set up the programs here at the facility. If you do, for some reason, change your mind and you want to do like in person, she'll forward you to my assistant Tina. She handles my calendar for like the in persons.
Okay.
So heads up, if that happens, you'll be switched to another person.
Okay.
Trying to think of this. But anything else?
No, I'm good.
Alrighty. And then if you want to get a feel of like how training goes, we have a YouTube channel. We have all of our lessons and videos are on there. So if you want to check them out, I think Zoe's lessons might be on there. So if you want to check out Zoe,
already watched some.
Okay, sweet. Okay, good. Sweet. All right. If there's nothing else, it was very nice speaking with you, Kelsey, and we look forward to working with Reggie.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Of course. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.